On this episode of Rock Down South, we chat with Alannah McCready. She's a super talented country artist who has some brand new music out, which she also plays for us live. So you definitely don't want to miss this one. We hope you all enjoy. Let's go. Welcome to another exciting episode of Rock Down South, a show where my friends and I chat with musical artists and ask them the questions we want to know about. On this episode, we sit down and chat with Alannah McCready. She's an extremely talented country singer who's got 2 full-length albums under her belt and some brand new music on the way. She also has a super interesting background, which we talk about, as well as her musical career thus far. We even talk about her connection to Atlanta, which of course we found super cool as that's where we're based out of. Also, she plays a couple of acoustic songs for us, one being her brand new single, Something Like That. So without further ado, here's the interview. Alannah, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm really glad you were able to jump on today. I was looking forward to this.
I know, me too. I've been trying to get it together.
Yeah. So you're doing all right these days?
I am good. I just moved into my house in Nashville finally. So just getting everything together and nesting.
Oh, cool. So are you coming back from out of state? 'Cause I know you've been in the Nashville area for a little while now.
Yeah, I moved here, technically moved here in February, but my house was a new construction. So I was waiting for that to be finished and wasn't able to move in until June. So I lived in Airbnbs in Nashville from February to June.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Multiple Airbnbs? Did you have to move every week?
Unfortunately. It was a lot.
And you're originally from Minnesota, right?
I am Minnesota.
So you miss the snow at all?
Not really, but I get my fill of it when I go home for Christmas, and then I'm like, okay, I'm good. That's enough for this year.
And from what I heard, you were quite the athlete in college, right?
Yeah, I played hockey in college for Wisconsin, which I still get flack for from everyone in Minnesota I grew up with, because apparently I'm a traitor for doing that. But you gotta do what you gotta do.
Cool. So you went to college in Wisconsin, played hockey. Tell me a little bit about the musical background. Where did that kind of sit in? Sounded like you might have been busy with the hockey thing for a little while.
Yeah, I've been doing music, or love music, I should say, from a very young age. My parents are big music people. They love all genres of music. So I was exposed to every genre from a really young age. But my mom is from Oklahoma. So I grew up on country music with her and just listening to, the major female powerhouses in country growing up and copying what they were doing and, realizing I loved singing. And once I started school and middle school and high school, I did musicals and I was in choir, and I was actually the only person in my high school who was in choir and played a sport.
Oh, wow.
So yes, it was very, very interesting. The choir department was like, oh, we've never had to look at the hockey schedule before choosing a choir concert date. So yeah, I mean, there was a couple times where I had to actually go in the morning of a concert, sing all of my soprano parts for my choir director because I had a game that night. Then at my games, I would sing the national anthem in my equipment and then skate out and play. So I always tried to incorporate everything, my 2 passions. I tried as much as I could to incorporate it all through growing up.
And when did you feel like you were making that transition where you said, I really enjoy doing this? When did you decide, I want to do this professionally? I want to go all in on this?
Yeah, I think I was living in New York after college and just doing PR as a corporate job. And I got an opportunity to come to Nashville actually and record professionally for the first time with a producer down here. And, after we finished, I kind of sat him down and I was like, okay, be real with me. Do you think I could do this as a career? What do you think? And he was like, if you're willing to put in the time and effort and whatever, he's like, I think you could do this as a career. And I said, okay, say less. So I quit my job and moved, and I've been doing music full time ever since. And that was 2013, I think. And so, I kind of just felt like that person that I worked with, he gained nothing from telling me I should or shouldn't do it. So I kind of wanted an unbiased opinion, because I'm sitting here thinking to myself, this is what I should be doing. But is it really? And so I think I just needed a little bit of validation for that little last like push. And so then I just went all in.
Well, that's awesome. And I'm glad he did tell you that, because now you have, I believe, was 2 albums. You had a 1 EP in the beginning, and
Yes.
now got a new single out too.
Yes. Yeah. My first album was 2014. And then I did another one in 2018. And then the new single just came out in February. So I apparently have a thing with going like 3 years in between releasing music.
Well, that's cool. I'm really glad. This is one of the things I've noticed about Nashville artists is some people, they don't ever put out an album, it seems like.
Yeah.
Like it just doesn't happen. You know, they have singles for, 7-8 years.
For days.
And I mean, that's their career trajectory. Everybody makes decisions, at the time.
Right.
But I always do like talking to artists that actually have albums like you do under their
Right.
belt, which I think is very, very cool.
Like, oh, thank you. Yeah. I just, I feel like there are times where I'm like, you know what, I want to put out a full body of works, because I feel like it gives you a nice kind of well-rounded experience about who the artist is if you're putting out a whole body of work instead of just one song after one song. I feel like at some point that kind of can create a disconnect maybe. And so just having an entire project, I feel like eliminates that. So, but now we're kind of in the age where I feel like music now is more, okay, let's drop a few singles and then drop the whole project. So that's kind of what I'm doing this time around.
Nice. I definitely want to talk about the new single, but first I want to learn little bit more about those albums and kind of album 1 to album 2. If you were going to summarize kind of your progression in music, kind of what was the difference in going into album 1 and then going into album 2 musically?
Yeah, I think album 1, I mean, it was the first time I ever recorded anything professionally ever. And so I think I was still kind of trying to figure out who I am in the studio, which is much different than playing live. It's hard to, when you're not used to being in the studio, it's hard to get your groove kind of in the beginning. And so I think that is a big thing that I learned over the years. And you can kind of tell, I think, in listening to them that I evolved in how I record or how my voice sounds in the music, but also in the songwriting aspect. I feel like as a songwriter, you're never done learning. And so even from my first album to now, I feel like my songwriting and just who I am as an artist and who I'm presenting myself as an artist has come so far and matured. And I think I'm finally now at the point where I'm putting out music that is exactly how I want to be heard as an artist. And I feel like it takes a long time to get to that point, unfortunately. But, once you get there, there's just something, it just feels right. And I feel like each album I did, I got closer and closer to that. And I feel like now I'm finally there.
And with that, let's talk about that new single, Something Like That.
So Something Like That was born during quarantine. So we couldn't travel. We couldn't, tour anymore. All the touring was off, obviously, during COVID. And so I was like, okay, I need to figure out what I want to do with all this energy and my time and kind of where am I going to transition this to? And I realized I hadn't released a project in 3 years. And so I was talking to my friend, Will Gittens, who co-wrote the whole EP with me, and his brother, who has produced the whole project. And they are like a dynamic musical duo. And I was like, you know what, guys, I think I want to do a project. Would you be interested in doing it with me? And they said, absolutely. So the 3 of us did my whole EP during quarantine at their home studio at their house. And Something Like That was the first song that we wrote for the project, and Will was just kind of playing something, silly on the guitar that made no sense. And he looked up at me, he goes, yeah, something like that. And we just both looked at each other. We're like, light bulb. We're like, we don't know what the song's about, but that's the title. So then it sort of just evolved into kind of peeling back the layers of what people think they want in relationships. I feel like in today's world, there's, especially women, I feel like we say we want a lot of very specific things in relationships, and those super specific, million things are going to make us happy. And we kind of wanted to peel it back and be like, wait, let's just step back here. In reality, just don't lie to me, be nice to me, and spend time with me. And if you can't give me those basic, simple couple things or something like that, it's probably not going to work.
Very cool. Very cool. And so you mentioned an EP might be coming next. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah. So I think we just had a whole team meeting about everything last week. And I think the plan is to do a single or two more through the end of this year, and then drop the whole project the top of next year. So I just started getting all the mixes back. So I'm very excited.
And the direction of this EP, I mean, what would you say about the whole EP in general, in terms of the musical style?
I think that as far as the songwriting goes, it's the most transparent and honest songwriting I've ever done, which I think is why I'm so excited to share it. And musically, I just think it's not that my old albums are not me by any means. They're just me in that time in my career and my life. And I feel like this project is just me as a whole, and it's just the whole thing is totally my vibe, and each song has its own personality, but you can tell that they're all part of the same family, if that makes sense. And so I'm just so excited to have everyone to hear it. I can't wait.
And as you know, this is the Rock Down South podcast. So, we like our rock music, and I know you have some rockin' tunes.
I
like
do.
Enemies with Benefits, which I really like. And of course, Last Girl Standing.
Yes. There is one on the new EP that is pretty rock. It's a good kind of rock country girl power anthem type situation.
Oh, really? That sounds fun. So now we're talking about rock music. We love all sorts of music, from classic rock to heavy metal to 80s rock to modern rock. So in terms of rock, what do you like to listen to, and what are you listening to lately, rock wise?
So my dad is a huge rock music guy. All of the rock music I've heard in my life has been from my dad. So I would say my dad's probably the only reason why I've ever even heard a lot of rock in my life. And I'm so grateful for it, because listen, rock music, I mean, for lack of a better pun, I mean, it rocks. Like, you know what I mean? Like it
feels good.
Yes, it goes hard and I love it. But I feel like I'm not listening to anything in particular recently, but anytime I'm with my family, my dad will put on, like, he loves 70s and 80s rock. So that's kind of the rock that I've been exposed to my whole life, 70s and 80s rock. So nice. Which I feel like is just classic. So whenever I'm with my family, that's pretty much what we listen to. And so whenever I hear songs from 70s and 80s rock, genre, it just makes me happy, because it reminds me of being with my family.
That's a good answer. And so I got a little bit of a different question here, switching things up.
Okay.
I'm curious, what's your connection to Atlanta? I saw a couple of Instagram pics where you were tagged in Atlanta, and I even saw you rocking like an old school Atlanta sweatshirt on one of your YouTube videos.
Yeah.
We're based out of Atlanta, if anybody doesn't know already.
Yes, ATL. When I moved from New York, I didn't move to Nashville. I came to Nashville and recorded like half of my first album here. And then actually when I moved, to Atlanta. So I lived in Atlanta from 2013 until February of this year.
Oh, no way.
Yes, so I consider Atlanta my second home. And I love it there. I miss it dearly, but I feel like Nashville is just where, it's where all my team is. And I just feel like I need to be here for I owe it to my music to be here. But Atlanta has my heart for sure.
Well, we love to hear that. What was your favorite Atlanta kind of stomping ground night spot or night spots?
I feel like we used to, the Buckhead bars, they're kind of dwindling at this point, which is very sad.
Yep, know them
But
well.
yeah, but just walking around the Buckhead bars outside with everyone who's like, the indoor outdoor vibe, which is how Nashville is too. And so I feel like that's very Atlanta, like indoor outdoor kind of just vibing and just go bopping around all those places in Buckhead. That's our favorite thing to do.
That was a great time to be out at those bars back in the day.
Right?
I was out at those years and they were fantastic.
I know. I'm so sad that they're like just going one by one.
That's right. Well, we'll have to get you to come back here to Atlanta and play at one of the spots we still have. We got a few more places like Park Bench that have opened in the Battery if you haven't been yet.
Oh, that's amazing. Oh my gosh, I would love to do that. Yeah, I miss playing at Eddie's Attic. I love playing Eddie's Attic. So I'll have to come back. I'll have to, you know what? I need to talk to my team. Listen, I need to go back to Atlanta and have a second hometown show.
Let's do it. So speaking of shows, I know you probably had a lot of good shows, especially hometown shows, like you might have mentioned.
Yeah.
It may be back home or hopefully in Atlanta here in the future. But what was a bad performance that you remember? Maybe it was a bad performance that you did, a bad crowd, a small crowd, or maybe just a weird venue. But what kind of comes to mind as like that worst show that you can think of?
Yeah, there was one venue. I don't even remember what state it was in, but it was in a state that's probably the only time I've ever been to that state. And it was this venue and it looked like something completely else. And they like made it seem like they were something completely that they weren't. And we got there, it was like on our route of shows for that week. And we got there and it was like, wait, where is the venue? It was like in a strip mall, and it like the pictures that we had of the venue weren't of the actual venue. Like it was like a complete lie. Like like everything that they told us was a lie. And we got there and we were like, we drive around to go in, and like we park in the back, and I sent a couple of the guys in the band in. I'm like, you guys go in and like check this out, because like I don't know, this doesn't seem. And they go in and they came out like 2 minutes later. They're like, no, we're leaving. So I didn't even make it inside.
Oh my gosh.
We literally called my manager and we were like, we can't do this. And it was like, there were things living in there that should not have been living in there.
In the strip mall.
Yeah. So it was very bad. And I just will always remember that, because I'd never even stepped foot inside
So like venue. You're afraid of your safety at that point? Oh, wow.
Yes. Yeah. The couple of the band guys went in and they were like, don't get out of the car.
Wow.
Wow. Okay.
Well, at least you didn't have to suffer through a performance for whatever place that was.
I know. And I don't even know if we would have been able to even like play. I don't even know if it had a stage. Like it was crazy.
That's funny. That's funny. All right. And now Alannah is going to play a couple songs for us, right?
Yes. So this first one, this is one of my favorite songs, actually, probably of all time. And I play it at all my shows. And it's a classic country song. It's Heads Carolina, Tails California by Jody Messina.
Baby, what do you say we just get lost? Leave this one horse town like two rebels without any cause. I got people thinks your daddy's still in Des Moines. We can pack up tomorrow, tonight let's flip a coin. Oh, heads Carolina, tails California, somewhere green, somewhere warmer up in the mountains, down by the ocean where it don't matter, long as we're going somewhere together. I've got a quarter, heads Carolina, tails California. California.
Man, I really like that one. That was pretty fun. That was a nice little cover there.
It's fun to play live.
And I think you got one more for us, right?
Yes, this is something like that. This is my newest single and it's available everywhere. But playing it acoustic is fun, and so here we go.
Been cheated on about 3 times. When I'm running back when he apologized. I didn't know my worth and that's fine. Now I can tell when it don't feel right. Now I'm stronger and I know myself better. And it feels so good to know that I will never go back again. So baby, tell me, are you sure that you're ready? I'm not asking for too much, but if you want my love, then you gotta know. All I want is a little more conversation. All I need is for you to not have me waiting. Had bad luck with midnight light. Just give me your time. For a love like that, that's where I'm at. Something like that. Fool me twice, that's shame on me. The third time I learn how it should be. Be a man that's true and a love that's real. Something like that is what I need. And now I'm stronger and I know myself better. I'm not asking for too much, but if you want my love, then you gotta know. All I want is a little more conversation. All I need is for you to not have me waiting. Had bad luck with midnight light. Just give me your time. For a love like that, that's where I'm at. Something like that. Something like that. Oh. Something like that. Yeah. All I want is a little more conversation. All I need is for you to not have me waiting. Had bad luck with midnight light. Just give me your time. For a love like that, that's where I'm at. Something like that. All I want is a little more conversation. All I need is for you to not have me waiting. Had bad luck with midnight light. Just give me your time. For a love like that, that's where I'm at. Something like that.
All right. You guys heard it here. The latest single by Alannah. Now let's get back to the interview. All right. So these next 3 questions are what we close with and ask everyone.
Okay.
So first question, what would you tell your 21-year-old self?
Oh gosh. So many things. Stop going out. Focus, I guess. I feel like that's when I graduated college and I was just like, woo, real life. Let me do all the things. No, sit down and do what you're supposed to do. That I wish I would have had myself to tell myself that.
That's a good answer. All right, second question. What are you drinking lately? And if you don't drink alcohol, it can be anything refreshing you like to drink.
I do drink alcohol. And my go-to is so basic. I'm a Tito's and soda gal. However, I did just get introduced to I think it's Truly, makes like the teas, like they like different flavored teas, but they're like
Yeah.
Trulies. It's like a new thing. They're so good. I was just introduced to those like a couple weekends ago. I'm like, wow, these are actually good because seltzers are usually not great.
I'll have to check those out. I think I've seen them. I've had the lemonade Trulies.
Yeah, I've had the lemonade ones too, but a couple weeks ago, someone brought a pack. It's like assorted like sweet teas, but they're different flavors and they're Trulies, and they're so good.
Interesting. I'm gonna have to try those out next time I'm in the store. All right, and last question. As you know, this is the Rock Down South podcast. So, what is something that you love about the South, or maybe many things?
Oh, I love so many things about the South. I mean, clearly I love it. I came down here and I haven't left yet. So I just went lateral across the South. I'm from Minnesota, obviously, and we're kind of known for, people say it's Minnesota nice because everyone in Minnesota is, we're supposed to be like super polite and nice. And I feel like it's very similar down here. I feel like everyone looks out for everyone else is something I've noticed. And I love that, especially moving down here from living in New York. It's a major change in that department. But I love the weather. Obviously, there's no snow down here. And I don't know, the people are just great. Everyone I feel like is just on the same page. Like everyone down here is always in a good mood. Maybe it's probably because of the weather.
I couldn't agree more. It's probably because of the weather.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you so much, Alannah, for being a part of the show today. Where can people find to connect with you online?
Thank you so much for having me. My social media, everything is Alannah McCready Music across the board, on all the platforms. And then my website's just alannahmccready.com. And all my music is available on every platform that you could ever think to get music from.
And did you have anything coming out that you wanted people to know about?
If you haven't heard something like that yet, go stream it, download it. It's everywhere. And if you follow me on the different platforms, I started posting clues to like the next singles and, the EP and stuff like that. So just keep up with me, and there's new stuff coming soon.
Thank you so much for listening to the show today. Hope y'all enjoyed this episode. I had a really good time chatting with Alannah. She's obviously super fun to talk with and extremely talented. And she's kind of an Atlanta artist, right? I mean, can we claim her as one of our own? Maybe. I mean, all the best country artists have come from Georgia anyways, right? Well, I cannot wait to hear more music from her and see her play live very, very soon. And so should you. So go follow Alannah on all of her social media pages and see if she's coming to a city near you. And check out her latest single, Something Like That, and keep a lookout for more music soon. You can find all of our content at rockdownsouth.com and follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter for the latest updates. And as always, the views and opinions expressed by our guests on the show are theirs and don't necessarily reflect our own. I'm Mark, and you've been listening to Rock Down South. See y'all next time.